Hi, Carl Swope with the Swope family of dealerships in beautiful central Kentucky. And I hope you enjoy this series we call Driving in Cars with Carl. Each time we'll drive interesting cars, some of them brand new, some of them really old. But we'll also have special guests that are doing fascinating things in central Kentucky to make this the special place it is. Along the way, we hope you learn something about where we live, work, and play. Let's go for a drive. Hi, Carl Swope, and welcome to this edition of Driving in Cars with Carl. I'm really excited about today's episode. I'm going to be driving a beautiful car, this Genesis G90, and I'm going to be with a very special guest, Greg Milby. Most people remember Greg as part of the Greg and Holly team on Quixie for many, many years in the morning. Well, Greg has moved on, and he is now the Community Storyteller with Heartland Communications. He's also doing a lot of great work with running events around our region that support charities and support runners that in our community. Let's get into the G90 and head downtown and pick up Greg. Wow, this G90 is truly a great driving car. It compares head-on with cars like the BMW 7 Series, the Audi 8, and the Mercedes S-Class. It's a great drive, which any luxury car needs to be, but it is also a performance car. The G90 is the flagship Genesis, and they've done a beautiful job with this car, top of the class. But Genesis also knows that to be a luxury brand, you have to provide a luxury experience. Genesis is the only brand that has valet service. When you own a Genesis, when it's time for service, Genesis of Elizabethtown will bring you a Genesis to your office or your home and take your car back to the dealership for that service and bring it back. And oh, by the way, for the first 3 years, there's no charge for the service or for the valet service. So we've made it to downtown Elizabethtown and Greg Milby's office here at Heartland Communications right off of Walker Square in beautiful downtown Elizabethtown. Let's see if Greg's in. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Carl.
Good to see you.
Welcome to my house.
I love your house. I've been to your studio many times, but it never had cameras.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened, but and I'm not sure that's been a good thing for me to actually be on camera.
I think it's probably a pretty good thing, actually. I've seen your stuff, and I really, really like it. Anyway, Greg Milby, he was part of that iconic team, Greg and Holly in the morning, woke us all up all the time. Got us going in the morning, and now you are the Community Storyteller.
Yeah, isn't that a great title?
Yeah, I love it.
I love that. That was a great selling point.
Did you come up with that?
Actually, no. Beth Avey came up with that, and as soon as that came out, I said, you know what? Because we spent a little bit of time just thinking about what we would call it, because it was going to be unique, and when she said a Community Storyteller, I realized that's exactly what I want to be.
Awesome. So tell me what a community storyteller does.
I want to share the stories of the community, and it changes all the time. As you know, being someone that is really involved in the community, we had a chance to see a lot of different things that were going on, but not everybody got the chance to see that and get the information that's going on. I wanted to be able to share stories of organizations that are making a difference and how somebody can give back to them, and people that are changing where we live, and even the buildings and the parks that we have and how they change where we live.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be the community storyteller that shared those stories.
I've seen several of your segments. I think I've seen them all, but tell me about some of the ones you've done and how you came about doing them.
Well, one of the recent ones is Green Space.
Yeah.
Wanted to sit down with them and talk about the 25 miles of trails that we have here and what they mean for our community and how we can help, with the Bridges to Natures project that was done. And people see that, but those bridges don't just magically appear there. How did that happen? How were the funds raised? And maybe inspire people to reach in their pocket and help out a little bit too. So that was a great one. And then just having a chance to talk to a lot of the other not-for-profit agencies, whether it be the Community Health Clinic or Silverleaf.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Just finding out what they're doing, because sometimes we don't hear those stories.
Nope.
So I wanted to just sit down and ask them the who, what, when, where, why, and then let them share that. And that resides at Kentucky'sHeartland.com, and we will update those periodically to reflect what they're working on.
Yeah, so tell me about what your plans are for some of the segments you got coming up, or some of the things that you want to expand this community storytelling out to. So.
You know, one is inspired by your dad. It's called the Pillar Series.
Wow.
I want to share the stories of people that have shaped our community and built this town. Really, truly have built this town. And just like your dad didn't share a lot of the things that he did behind the scenes to make this town and this community what it is. I want to feature those people. I want to feature people like Arnold Myers and Diane Logston and Howard Pence. Wow. Some of those people and tell their stories. You know, because as Arnold Myers told me, when he passes away, his stories kind of go with him. I think that's a shame, and that we need to be able to have that recorded history of their stories directly from them.
I'm glad you're doing that, because you've mentioned so many of my heroes, obviously my dad being one of them, but not the only one. And you're right. I take people to Dad's museum these days, and I think about all the things I don't know that people want to know about those cars that Dad knew, and we just don't have it anymore. So I'm so glad you're going to do that. And
the key thing is that some of these guys and ladies can't get here. It's not as accessible for them to get out. So video camera equipment that is very portable and user-friendly has been the key, and that's kind of been the concept of Kentucky's Heartland is to make it to where it is. It's one guy. You know, when we come up with a plan of me running the cameras and running the sound and running the graphics on the screen and managing the interview, it seemed like a great idea that the first time you do it, you realize I've only just been pushing buttons and talking for years. So it's been tough to learn, but I'm excited to see where it goes and to be able to share those stories.
Sounds like being a car dealer. You got to stand on your head and fix the car and do all. Yeah, I understand.
Every year a new model. There you go.
So you do more than just this, though. I know that you're a runner. I know that I think you're going to be at an event this weekend. You might say a little bit about that. Yeah. But anyway, you also do a lot of race management, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So Central Kentucky Race Management was just a couple of guys. We were sitting down. We were actually running one day, and we were talking about all these charity races that were lasting a year or two, and then they were folding.
Yeah.
We figured out that maybe one of the reasons was because, one, timing was very, very expensive to have a company come in and time it, and two, maybe they just didn't know how to put a race together. So Jeff Proctor, Damon Barnes, and myself put a company together, Central Kentucky Race Management, where every race that we do has to have a charity background.
Yeah,
it has to have a charity. It's a horrible business model. I mean, if you really want to make a living doing that, it's a horrible business model when you give away at least half of your profits. You know, we do the Run for the Red Cross. We do the Light the Night 5K for the Police Foundation. It was over a $12,000 donation to the Police Foundation for one 5K. And it was fun. So we wanted to make them, because we were seeing races come into town that were national races and leaving town with a lot of money in their pockets. Yeah. And we thought, well, how can we do that and put the money in the charities' pockets? So that's where the Light the Night is designed to be family friendly, fun, but you time it for a competitive runner. So we do that, everything from a 5K to we do cycling events for the wheelmen to all the way up to we have a 100-mile race that we do.
Oh, wow.
A 100-mile, 50-mile marathon and half marathon that is actually a qualifier for what we call the Super Bowl of trail running in France. So all that after the first year. So it's.
I've run 100 miles.
All together at once?
Yeah, I think through my 50s. I think maybe got 100 miles in through my 50s, yeah.
So that race is actually, the funny thing about that race is it's such a challenge. We wanted to make it a challenge. We had runners from 19 states in Brazil the first year.
Wow.
And we have it on the course in the Falls of Rough. It's an old ATV course. So it was designed to test the upper limits of ATVs, and we put runners on it. So it's a challenge, and that's what some people want, is that ultimate challenge, and that's where we bring them in from all across the country to see what our community has to give.
So I love your studio, but I know that you guys are kind of thinking, Heartland Communications, about moving into some new duds. Is that right?
Yeah. We've got a new space that is actually being worked on right now in downtown. Part of the big revitalization of downtown.
Part of the revitalization, which we're also pleased about. Yeah. Well, I came down here in a beautiful car that I'd love to show you. So maybe what we could do is head outside and jump in that car, and we'll go take a look at where your new place is.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, let's go. So Greg, this is the Genesis G90. It's the flagship of the brand new Genesis line. Wow. And we're so pleased to be bringing Genesis, a luxury brand, to Elizabethtown in Hardin County. So this is a car that competes with cars like the BMW 7 Series and the Mercedes S. And they've truly done a remarkable job with this car.
Yeah, so they're called the teenager special?
Yeah, exactly. This is the first car. No, this is not anybody's first car, probably. So anyway, it's a total luxury car and a luxury experience. And I'd like to take you for a drive, and maybe we'll go by where your new office is going to be.
I like that. That sounds like a great plan.
Join me. So what do you think of my G90?
I am highly impressed with the G90. It is, it's a very nice ride.
Well, it's truly unlike anything that we have ever been able to represent here in Elizabethtown. It is, as I said, it is true luxury in every sense. It's a luxury touch and feel on the inside, but it's also the kind of performance that luxury buyers demand in their cars. So we're here in beautiful downtown Elizabethtown, and I really like it that you guys are officing down here and that you're doing all that stuff. But I know that you're going to kind of move out of those offices that are part of the Chamber of Commerce right now. And goodness gracious, it looks like they're tearing your building down, man.
Yeah, it can cause a lot of sweat because as they're working on the building, you would think that they would want. You would think you would start to see things going up, not coming down. And it seems that we keep having more things coming down than we have going up as of late.
Well, I've parked right here in the middle of the square, and I'm glad that police officer went on by. But anyway, we're taking a look at what they've got going on. You've taken the whole front off your building.
Yeah, you know, and Kenny Rambo, one of the partners with Heartland Communications, when they talked about this building, taking it all the way down to the bones, and just making sure everything is good so it's there for the next 100 years is important, and they're doing that, and they're trying to make sure they do it the right way, and I think that's what we're seeing right now.
Well, you know, and that is the right way to do things, and we've seen some things happen down here in downtown Elizabethtown that weren't exactly that way. I'm so glad you're doing that, because we kind of felt the same way. You know, we're doing a little project over here called the Newberry, and we wanted to peel it back to the bones, and honestly, when we kept peeling it back, there weren't many bones left. So
yeah, I was going to say your bones are very thin.
They were pretty thin in the Newberry, but that's okay, because it's going to come out of the ground and be very period correct for the historic district of downtown Elizabethtown. So when you open up here, is it going to be just Heartland, or are you going to have other things in the building?
Actually, the main floor is going to be the Dreamery, the craft ice cream shop that Vibe is putting together, and there's some other plans as well for the main floor. We're going to be housed on the second floor, so you know, you've got Heartland Communications. They were very adamant about making sure that we stayed downtown. We wanted to be a downtown business, and them being able to acquire this building and repurpose it and remodel it. I almost say rebuild it, because you really are getting it down as we're talking about the bones. So they wanted to make sure that they stay down here, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a great workspace, and you know, I'm a huge fan of the late Tim Walker.
Oh yeah,
and knowing what over the years, knowing what his goal was and his dreams were for downtown, I think it's really cool to be a part of that and just work for a company that's doing that and get to spend a lot of time down here. I'm excited for the summer to get here, to be able to just sit out at Walker Square and work.
You told me something earlier that I don't think we got on film, but you run a lot, and when you run by, you never fail to touch that monument of Tim Walker.
You know, there's something about that, the plate. You know, Tim and I had a lot of conversations, candid conversations and off-the-record conversations about stuff, and I knew where his passion, where his heart was, and so I wanted to make sure. I want to keep honoring that, and I do that by going through and I touch that every time, because you know, he's the heart of our community, and that park is being right in the heart. I love the fact that they put the Christmas tree down there this year as well.
Yeah, I do too. And you know, he inspired so many of us, and continues to inspire so many of us to really to make downtown Elizabethtown, but all of the region as well. Just a real quality place to live, work, and play. So,
Yeah. And speaking of playing, 4th of July, the Founders Day events that Tim was so adamant about. We've worked with the Central Kentucky Race Management. We have worked with our friends over at the Hardin County History Museum to create the Tim Walker Founders Day 5K. And so that event is in his honor, but it also raises money to promote and raise money for the History Museum.
Well, I love what you're doing with your race management. I love your charitable vision and what you're doing. You're doing great things.
I appreciate you taking time to let me share a little bit about my passion.
Awesome. You want to drive it back?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's switch seats.
All right. I'm not used to a vehicle that doesn't have a fifth wheel behind it, so we'll see. we'll see how this goes.
Great place.
You know what? Joe probably thinks we're supposed to be at Running Souls.
Oh my goodness.
We need to go to Running Souls.
Yeah, we probably ought to go to Running Souls.
I just realized that.
Sorry about that, Joe.
Joe, let the record show.
Yeah.
The record show, I remember that. There's Joe.
Seconds. Sorry, man.
We're not laughing at you, Joe.
We're laughing
Actually,
with you.
We're laughing with you, yeah. He has no idea, but he will.
He's
over there laughing at us right now.
Where'd you guys go?
Yeah, he's probably thinking we went all the way to Indiana and back.
Oh, were we supposed to meet you at Running Souls?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, man. We ended up going back to Greg's office. Well, Greg, it's been a lot of fun. We had so much fun, we forgot we were supposed to end here at Running Souls. And we left our camera guy hanging here about a half an hour. So.
Hey, thanks for letting me drive, and I apologize. People will be shocked that you and I get caught in a casual conversation and forget to go somewhere and do something. But it is a nice car.
It is a great car, and I've really enjoyed our time together. Thanks, man. Thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you.
All right.